Salt Lake County announces 5 possible locations for a new homeless shelter, where it could go and what residents are saying.
Then he narrowly escaped when flames tore through his home in Ogden.
He may not make it, but they're not going to stop trying.
Today, the man's family speaks exclusively with Fox 13 News.
A burglar steals a woman's purse from her home. We'll show you how they did it and what you should look for.
Clouds and a few showers to end the week. I'll let you know if they make it into the weekend. Coming up.
And teens from the western U.S. gather in Utah for a unique competition. How these future engineers are combining creativity and hard work to have a good time.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13's Live at 5.
5 brand new homeless site locations have West Valley and South Salt Lake Council members shocked and angry this afternoon. Today, Salt Lake County government announced 5 proposed homeless shelter sites in the 2 cities.
The county says it would build on only one of the locations. Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is at one of the proposed sites in West Valley City. Lauren.
Right, Bob and Hope. So some bitter council members, residents and businesses all gathered at this site this afternoon, bewildered at the decision, mainly because for them it seemed to come out of nowhere. No big press conference. You couldn't even get a hold of Mayor Ben McAdams today. So a lot of confusion and frustration over the decision for these proposed sites. Here's a map showing the 5 proposed sites announced this afternoon. 2 in South Salt Lake near 33rd South and 3 in West Valley near the Jordan River and Highway 201. The county says these 5 sites are in the running to be chosen as the one new shelter outside of Salt Lake City. This building would be a homeless resource center serving around 200 people and will be designed differently than what we see on Rio Grande. The county says a group of stakeholders identified these 5 sites based on location and needs. But the West Valley City Council says they had no idea their city was under consideration for homeless shelter sites until the public found out today.
The process is inherently unfair by the way that it's been handled, but also the prejudice against, let's just move it on the other side of the river. Nobody goes over there, right? We can't have it on Simpson Avenue because there are rich and powerful people up there.
Residents in the council gathered to express their outrage. They say the sites in West Valley City are just not appropriate.
This is my heart. This is my home. We are a unique neighborhood and not unique to allow a homeless shelter in here. That's not fair for us. We don't deserve it.
And South Salt Lake saying the same thing. They don't like either of the 2 proposed sites in their areas. They say one of them is just around the corner from the county jail. Now, we did speak with Salt Lake County, and we'll hear from them tonight at 9. They said this is the beginning of the process, that over the next course of the month there will be open houses and public comment before that committee that chose these 5 sites will make their final recommendation on March 30th. Live in West Valley City, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, emergency crews are responding to an accident in Emigration Canyon where a car hit a bicyclist. We're told a vehicle was coming down the canyon about a half hour ago when it happened. Unified Police tell us the bicyclist was breathing and talking before being taken to the hospital. We do have a crew on the way. We're going to bring you more information as we get it.
We want to bring you some new details on a story we first brought you on Fox 13 News Live at 4. A single-engine Cessna has made an emergency landing at the Sky Park Airport in Woods Cross. South Davis Metro Fire says the plane had front landing gear failure. There were 4 people on board. None of them was hurt. Just a short time ago, crews were able to move the damaged plane from the runway. We have a crew there and will continue to monitor this situation.
7 accused sexual predators are now in police custody after a coordinated effort in Utah County. Officers with the Utah Valley Special Victims Task Force arrested these 7 men over the past 2 weeks. Investigators say each of the men started chatting online with someone they thought was a 13-year-old girl. In all cases, it was an undercover officer. All of the men also arranged to meet the girl. The suspects range in ages from 21 to 54 years old.
A Logan man is behind bars this evening, accused of using his infant son as a shield. Cache County Sheriff's deputies say Joshua Miller showed up at the hospital last night to look for his wife, who had been arrested and taken to the hospital earlier. Logan police say Miller showed up intoxicated, and when they tried to arrest him, he used his 1-year-old infant son as a shield. Miller is charged with DUI, child abuse, and other things. The child is now with his grandparents.
Police were forced to shut down the area right in front of the Capitol this afternoon after they were alerted to a potential bomb. Fox 13's Lauren Handley was there when police worked to secure the scene. She joins us now live with more on what police found. Lauren.
Yeah, Hope, police were set up in this general area earlier this afternoon. They had a bomb squad on scene with a dog and a robot to check out this suspicious package. Now, in the area behind me, it looked like it might have been a normal trash can, but at the time, police weren't so sure. For 3 hours, police shut down 300 North, the road in front of the Capitol building. A trash can was sitting there, nothing too strange, but they noticed the lid was zip-tied shut and it had some holes in it.
We take a look at what we have in front of us and determine the best way to deal with it, and that's what we did here. And that sometimes takes a while to get the resources out.
They tried to x-ray it but couldn't see what was inside. A dog sniffed the can but didn't pick up on anything. Then one man went in to cut the ties and a robot came in after to knock the can over to see if anything would blow up.
Turns out we found trash.
Police say they have some grainy video from the Capitol of someone putting the can there a day or so ago, but Detective Greg Wilking says it doesn't seem to be intentionally suspicious.
It just looks like a case of maybe the garbage can having come off of somebody's car and somebody just setting it up there in the roadway where maybe that person would see it again and realize that's where they lost it.
In all, they're actually glad things turned out this way.
It's not frustrating. We get to use our training and it's a good outcome for this situation. I mean, we would rather it be just trash all the time. You know, we're happy to have it be nothing instead of something major.
Now, police cleared the scene here and reopened the road. Around 1:30 this afternoon, they said they wanted to make sure they take their time with this. I mean, as they would with any bomb threat, but especially because we're in a high-profile area. Reporting live from the Capitol, Lauren Handley, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A similar situation at Davis Hospital in Layton also turned out to be a hoax just before 10 this morning. Somebody called the hospital claiming there was a bomb inside. Layton police, the fire department, and bomb techs and bomb-sniffing dogs from Hill Air Force Base all responded. They scoured the building, couldn't find anything suspicious. Now they're focused on finding whoever made that call.
It's significant to make a threat like that, so it would be a charge related to the threat, and then there could be additional things based on maybe some unintended consequences that were a result of it, but significant resources too thrown at something like this that somebody could be on the hook for restitution.
Police say the caller used an anonymous number, but investigators will look into it.
All right, temperatures above average today across the state once again, but we have had more clouds, especially now as we've gotten into the afternoon and heading into the evening hours. They've kind of been thickening up throughout the day. And at this time, we really just have cloudy, mostly cloudy skies across basically the entire state. You look outside currently from the Ochre Cam looking over downtown Salt Lake. You can see some of the taller buildings there off in the distance. And the cloud cover that's in place, we still have obviously the snow in the mountains. We have good air quality. Things looking pretty nice out there, even with the cloudy skies. Temperatures, as I mentioned, still fairly mild. Right there around 60 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at 10 miles per hour currently in Salt Lake. And as the clouds have thickened up through the day, if you look at it on satellite and radar, there is some precipitation out there. Most of this is evaporating before it hits the ground, so it just looks like dark clouds. But especially along the Utah-Idaho border and looks like near Wendover, a few sprinkles are certainly possible. These showers will move through northern Utah here in the evening hours and just, again, for the most part, provide some cloud cover, but an occasional sprinkle or two is certainly possible. You look at our 24-hour temperature change, this is going to usher a weak cold front through. And so it's dropping our temperatures by a few degrees heading into the weekend. I'll show you what that means for the weekend temperatures and look at where they're headed after the weekend as well, coming up.
All right, thank you, Brett. New details about a Utah man stuck in a Venezuelan jail. In a post on Facebook, Josh Holt's family says while they haven't spoken to him, his mother-in-law is able to visit him twice a week and make sure he is in good health. Josh moved to Venezuela last June to marry a woman he met online. Weeks later, police arrested him, claiming to have found weapons in his apartment. Josh's family claims he was set up because he's American. And new at 5, a plea for support to find out why a man and his wife were taken by ICE agents.
Salt Lake City's Islamic community says the couple attended mosque at the Medina Islamic Center. Fox 13's Danica Lawrence spoke with the man's co-workers today and joins us in studio now. Danica.
Bob and Hope, the couple's name is Ahmed and Emma Biwiki. Their mosque leader says the couple is supposed to be deported back to Kenya on Monday, and they want to be able to see Ahmad while he's still detained here and find out why this happened. They fear other Islamic members are next.
Standing side by side, Islamic, Catholic, and other faith-based groups show their support to find out what happened to a Medina Mosque member, Ahmed Biwiki, and his wife, Emma.
He was called in to go to the immigration department in Salt Lake City, and he was asked to bring in a letter along with a ticket to be returned to Kenya.
Richard Anzers has worked with Ahmad for 7 years as a contractor for Delta. He says Wednesday of last week, ICE agents took Ahmad and Emma away and detained them in the Cache County Jail. He says they have a son who attends the University of Utah. He was not detained, but it was Richard who alerted Ahmed's mosque about his absence from work.
They took Ahmed and his wife into another room, and that was the last that we've seen or heard of him.
Members here say Ahmad had been praying every week at this mosque with other members for over a decade.
I know Ahmad many years. He's the one I can say that who is the most polite guy that we have in our mosque.
The mosque's leader, Iman Yusuf Abidi, says other members are in fear their families could be next.
When this thing happened now, my community now, they feel threatened. We're scared now. We think that we are targeted, as the Muslim community.
And I've reached out to ICE through calls and emails. I have not heard back. Local Catholic Community Services and refugee service groups attorneys have also not been able to obtain information about why this happened, and they want the imam to be allowed to speak to Ahmed before Monday. Live in the studio, Danica Lawrence, Fox 13 News, Utah.
His house exploded and he had to be rescued from the inferno. Now his family is talking to Fox 13 News on Utah's only local newscast at 5:30.
Draper police hope this security video helps them nab some home burglary suspects. What they're accused of taking, still to come.
From liquor law reform to education funding to vehicle inspections, it was an eventful legislative session. We'll detail what got done.
President Trump hosted a work session at the White House hoping to reach a compromise on the Health Care Act. While the new measure already painstakingly passed through 2 House committees after a set of all-nighters marking up the bill, the Republican Party remains fractured about how to keep moving the measure forward. The only common ground seems to be the belief that Obamacare needs to go.
It has hurt so many people, small businesses, patients, doctors, and nurses. And so after 7 years of being ready for this moment, pausing, slowing down isn't an option.
Maine Republicans worry that the repeal and replace option is too similar to Obamacare. Democrats claim it only helps the wealthy and hurts the poor.
Emergency crews near San Antonio, Texas are searching for a woman presumed to have been swept away by floodwaters early this morning. The woman called a family member at about 1 this morning saying she and her husband were in a car surrounded by water. Searchers found the man clinging to a tree, suffering from hypothermia. He told rescuers his wife was still in the car that was swept away.
Volkswagen pleaded guilty after waiving its right to a jury trial in the diesel emissions case. The company's charged with fraud and obstruction of justice. VW's engines were emitting up to 35 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides. Software allowed the car to cheat emissions tests. The company will pay about $17 billion in civil settlements. From roads and schools to booze, weed taxes, and polygamy, state lawmakers looked at a wide variety of issues during the 2017 legislative session.
With only 45 days, they had a lot to tackle in a short amount of time. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has a look at what made it and what didn't.
Lawmakers passed a record-breaking 535 bills out of more than 1,200 proposed during the legislative session. They also passed a $16 billion budget. The homeless crisis is being addressed with millions pumped into new shelters.
What the legislators did this year is unprecedented investment in the issue of homelessness. It has not been done before to this extent.
Is it going to work?
Of course it's going to work. We know what needs to be done.
Liquor laws get a rewrite with Zion curtains falling and the DUI level being dropped to .05. Schools are getting $120 million in new spending and raises for teachers. It may not stop a ballot initiative to hike income taxes to pay for public education. Medical marijuana didn't go very far this year. There's talk of going to the voters on that, too. Lawmakers passed a $1 billion bond for road repairs.
The biggest issue we face is providing the infrastructure that we need for a growing population. And the bonding bill, what Senator Okerlund's passed, will help provide that structure.
Another big bill overhauls the juvenile justice system to keep kids out of detention and in their homes with resources to keep them out of trouble.
Really helping them work through whatever might be causing the misconduct rather than just simply punishing the symptom of whatever problem is exhibiting itself.
In a last-minute vote, the Senate approved a bill that recriminalizes polygamy. It comes out of the sister wives case.
We want to see abuse stopped as much as the next guy.
Absolutely.
This bill is just not the way to do that.
One of the biggest issues yet to be addressed is taxes. Lawmakers floated the idea of hiking the food tax, then pulled it back. The governor wants a review of all the tax breaks the state hands out.
We need to concentrate on making sure our revenue stream continues to grow and become robust. The worry I've got is that pipe of revenue has sprung some leaks. Too many tax credits, too many tax exemptions.
Taxes are going to be a big issue next year, and the House Speaker warns it may not be pretty.
Whatever we decide to do by way of reform might be hard, and it might run into a public perception problem, but it will feel nothing like a problem if we were to have to cut steeply our public education or our health and human services or raise taxes.
Now the governor has 20 days to look at all of these bills, and he can either sign them into law, veto them, or allow them to become law without his signature. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Utah Braille Challenge was held today. 43 children ages 5 to 18 from all over the state took part. They competed in 4 contests: speed and accuracy, proofreading, reading comprehension, and charts and graphs reading. Many of the participants are the only Braille students in their schools.
It's a fun way for for blind students to get together and to get to know each other.
Winners go on to the National Braille Challenge. Brandy has been there before, and she'll be competing again this year.
A popular Utah author is hoping to thrill readers all over again with a brand new series. Brandon Mull is a #1 New York Times best-selling author for the Fable Havens series. He stopped by Good Day Utah this morning to discuss his new book, Dragon Watch. It's a sequel series to his previous bestseller. Mull says he gets inspiration for his books from the real world and his imagination.
I've always been a sucker for fantasy stories since I was a kid. Like the Narnia series was what hooked me. And then for some reason, that's what my head does. Like my coping mechanism to deal with reality is to escape into fantasy. And so I'm kind of sharing my coping mechanism with the world.
The book comes out next week, but you can get an advanced copy at a launch event tonight at Cottonwood High School. Admission is free and the doors open at 6.
Brett joining us now. Brett, you're a big fantasy guy.
Oh, fantasy guy. I thought you said a fan of sea guy. Like
fantasy.
Sea guy is great in that new movie.
Sea guy.
I'm a Game of Thrones fan.
I know, that's what I was going for.
I am a huge Game of Thrones fan. The new trailer came out yesterday.
Oh, did it?
You're jazzed.
Man, I can't wait. You gotta wait till July, though, for the new.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is awful. Well. It should be coming out next month, but no, gotta wait till July. Hate waiting. Anyway, yes. Well, okay, off Game of Thrones. We'll talk about that later. Let's look at what's going on across the state right now. Clouds pushing into the state. They've been increasing during the day today. You see the showers that are stretching right along the Utah-Idaho border, a little bit in Nevada as well. Very light precipitation, most of it evaporating before it hits the ground. So what most of us are seeing are just the clouds. Even with the cloud cover, though, our temperatures are still running quite a bit above average. Now, if you look back here, you see these storms that are moving in the Pacific Northwest, but they are riding over the top of the ridge. This ridge drops down here to our east. Very cold temperatures spilling into the eastern half of the U.S. But even with that ridge in place, this is just a weak cold front that is pushing through. And you see we've tapped into enough moisture, and that's why we're seeing the clouds statewide. A little bit cloudier than I thought we'd see in southern Utah today, but northern Utah working out as expected. As far as temperatures, again, as expected, they're right where we thought they would be, a little bit above average for this time of year. Upper 50s, about 60 in Salt Lake and Lehigh and West Valley, low 50s in Park City, a little bit warmer in Heber. You look around the state, 50s, 60s, and 70s statewide, 74 degrees currently in St. George, and upper 50s in eastern Nevada. You look at where we're headed tonight. So temperatures dropping into the upper 30s. We've been, the last few evenings have been in this range, upper 30s, low 40s. Not quite as warm tonight just because we weren't as warm today, but with the clouds in place, it's not going to get cold. And there will be a few isolated showers overnight. 28 in Evanston, 35 in Price, 47 in St. George, and a lot of 30s around the state. We'll call it partly cloudy to mostly cloudy statewide. We'll start the day tomorrow, partly cloudy, low 40s, and a nice start to the day, mild temperatures, and it really gets nice. So what happens? Clouds are moving in now. They stick with us overnight, and they start to decrease as the day moves along tomorrow. So our temperatures will climb to about where we are today, right around 60 degrees, but we'll see more clearing. And with that sunshine, it's probably going to feel a little bit warmer out there than today for most of us. 50 in Park City, 66 in Milford, 65 in Cedar City. And look at the 70s in southern Utah. We'll move to sunny skies in southern Utah. We'll call it partly cloudy in northern Utah, but again with decreasing clouds. So a great weekend. Temps in the low 80s, and it just stays there. Low 80s, upper 70s, doesn't matter. We see a few clouds rolling in by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but 7 quiet days in front of us. We got to set our clocks ahead tomorrow.
I was just looking at that and thinking spring forward.
Yeah.
Lose an hour.
That's kind of the only bad thing on the 7-day graphic. Other than that, as you see, we have the low 60s climbing into the mid 60s, climbing into the 70s. A few more clouds by Thursday of next week, maybe a shower or two, but nice weather.
Just come in an hour later.
I think that's the way to head.
Right?
Yeah. That probably won't cause any problems anywhere.
I agree. Thank you, Brett.
Why does she have all the good ideas? Well, they're combining technology and a little fun at a unique competition this weekend. What these teens are hoping to accomplish coming up.
And experts say our drinking habits appear to be changing. We're going to look at the most popular beverage of 2016 after the break. Stocks rose today after there was some encouraging data on economic growth. The Dow's up 45 points, NASDAQ up 23, S&P 500 up 8. The numbers are in, and it looks like Americans have a new drink of choice. Bottled water is now the most popular option. According to the group Beverage Marketing, soda was bumped to second place in 2016. The company claims Americans bought 12.8 billion gallons of bottled water last year. That's a 9% increase over 2015. By comparison, Americans drank more than 12.4 billion gallons of soft drinks.
A group of federal lawmakers want to make you more comfortable while flying. They've introduced legislation that would create standard seat size and legroom for commercial airlines. The consumerist says the bill doesn't specify the seat dimensions, but would allow the FAA to set a standard. Similar legislation failed in the Senate last year.
A brazen burglary in a Draper neighborhood, and it's all caught on camera what the crooks got away with coming up.
Many of you saw the incredible video out of Ogden Tuesday after a home exploded. The homeowner barely escaped. He's recovering here at the University of Utah Burn Center now. I'll update you on his recovery coming up.
And what should replace the state prison at Point of the Mountain? Utahns seem to have plenty of ideas. We'll share some of the most popular after the break.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Live at 5:30.
An Ogden man is fighting for his life after his house exploded Tuesday night. The massive fire was hard to miss, with many neighbors catching the 30-foot flames on camera. The nightmare scene is hard to forget.
Fox 13's Dora Scheidel joins us from University Hospital after talking with the victim's family. It's a story you'll only see right here on Fox 13. Dora.
Yeah, Bob and Hope. Bobby Orris is recovering here at the University of Utah Burn Center, and his family tells me they're not sure he's going to make it. To neighbors, he's known as Uncle Bobby, but to his 11 kids, he's Dad.
He was a good, loving father, and he just wanted to be with his kids, and that's all he wanted.
Here you see Bobby Orris as he narrowly escapes from the roof of his Ogden home Tuesday night after it exploded and burst into flames. He was rushed to the hospital moments later.
I didn't think it'd be that bad. Like, it was way worse than I thought it was.
When his family came to see him, they were shocked.
His eyes are swollen shut. He can't even move.
He's not doing very well. All of his organs are shut down except his heart.
He's in a medically induced coma and unable to talk. This picture shows just how much of his body has been burned.
I started talking to him, and I didn't think he could hear me, and then I see tears coming out of his eyes.
The family says vicious rumors have been circulating on social media, saying the fire started because the house was a meth lab.
He's a good man, and I would really appreciate if people stopped throwing around meth, that it was a meth explosion.
They think it may be because there were some squatters living in the home using drugs while Bobby spent some time out of state.
When he was in Washington, there were squatters in his house and tore the house apart.
But the past few months, he's been cleaning out the house and looking forward to getting his life back on track with his family.
He has a great heart, and he always tries to give as much as he can give.
A pursuit his family is praying he can continue.
He may not make it, but they're not going to stop trying.
A GoFundMe page has been set up to help Bobby with his recovery. We'll include a link on our website, fox13now.com. For now, reporting live from the University of Utah Hospital, I'm Dora Scheidel, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Revisiting one of our top stories this hour, Salt Lake County released 5 new possible homeless shelter sites today. 3 are in West Valley City, 2 are in South Salt Lake. Council members from the cities are shocked and angry, but the county says these sites are only proposed options. They only plan to build 1. But the West Valley City Council says they had no idea their city was under consideration.
Process is inherently unfair by the way that it's been handled, but also the prejudice against, let's just move it on the other side of the river. Nobody goes over there, right? We can't have it on Simpson Avenue because there are rich and powerful people up there.
Salt Lake County says this is just the beginning of the process. The committee that came up with the sites will hold open houses, take public comment before making a recommendation on March 30th.
Updating the search for whoever tortured a pet cat named Sage in Davis County. The reward for information that leads to an arrest has been increased to $30,000. Unfortunately, the animal passed away yesterday afternoon. Sage's family found him on Wednesday after he'd been missing for days. Veterinarians say it was the worst case of animal abuse they had ever seen. The Humane Society is holding a vigil for Sage Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock in Clearfield's Kiwanis Park.
2 suspects are arrested in connection with dozens of recent car burglaries. Monday, Cottonwood Heights police got a tip that led them to a suspect driving a stolen Ford pickup truck. Now that truck is seen in these security camera photos, and the driver was believed to be involved in dozens of burglaries. This morning, a homeowner held 2 men at gunpoint when he found them breaking into his car. Police arrested 1 man, the other took off. In Holiday, officers spotted the stolen pickup with the suspect in it. Police say with these arrests, they hope to clear a lot of cases.
Probably a conservative number is 50 or 60 vehicle burglaries, mostly on the east side of the Salt Lake Valley and Holiday, Cottonwood, some Midvale and Mill Creek area.
23-year-old Nicholas Ververs was booked into jail. The man busted in Cottonwood Heights is 33-year-old Greg Allred. And after searching the Jeep Cherokee, detectives hope to get some victims reunited with their stolen property.
New at 5, security cameras show 2 men drive up to a house in Draper and then take off with a woman's purse in broad daylight. But the woman says the crooks got away with a lot more than some money and credit cards. Fox 13's Tamara Vaifanua shows us who police are looking for.
Rachel Wong and her family were trying to get back into their everyday routine after returning home from vacation when their world turned upside down.
We just got back from grocery shopping with my kids and we kind of rushed inside and I forgot to close the garage door.
Wednesday afternoon, Rachel Huang unloaded her kids and groceries from her car and left the garage door and the back door to her car wide open. What's so strange about this is that the perpetrators drove their car all the way up to the garage, where surveillance cameras captured their every move. Surveillance video shows 2 men pulling up to the driveway. The male passenger emerges from the car and runs into the garage. He reaches into the back seat and grabs a purse. The man runs back to the waiting car, but stops for a second and hides the purse behind his back, just as a car pulls into a house across the street. The 2 men then back up onto the street and take off, just as someone in the car across the street gets dropped off.
You know, it's super scary that someone was bold enough to come into my house, into my driveway in the middle of the day when I normally would send my kids outside and not even think about it.
Rachel didn't realize what had happened until an hour later, when her husband called saying someone had found her son's cell phone on Highland Drive. The phone was inside her purse, along with cash, credit cards, and $15,000 worth of jewelry. Many had sentimental value.
My watch, several pieces of jewelry, my wedding ring, my engagement ring, a piece of jewelry from my mom.
Rachel hopes someone will recognize the man in the video and the car, which appears to be a white 2008 or 2009 Toyota Highlander. She's also checking with neighbors to find out if their cameras might have picked up something that could help track these guys down.
We don't feel safe where we live, in the community that we thought was really safe.
Now, if you have any information about this case, call Draper Police. That number, 801-576-6300. In Draper, Tamara Vaifanua, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Investigators believe a fire at an apartment complex in West Valley City overnight was intentionally set. Crews first got the call to 40th South Redwood Road just after midnight. When they arrived, they found lots of smoke billowing out of a second-floor apartment window. They worked quickly to keep the flames from spreading to other units.
We were able to handle it, knock down the fire fairly quickly. When we got inside, there was some smoldering material after the fire was initially knocked down. We took that outside, finished the extinguishment out there.
Firefighters say a man living there admitted to lighting some papers on fire that spread to a mattress. No other apartment units were damaged.
Utah will have a new state prison by July 2020. Many Utahns are anxious to see what will take the place of the current prison in Draper after the new one's built in Salt Lake. Fox 13's Aubrey McKay has that story.
An NFL stadium, maybe a jousting theme park. There's been all kinds of ideas as to what to do with the land once the prison relocates.
This is a tremendous opportunity.
Ari Bruning says for the past few months, Envision Utah has been listening to the public and collecting ideas.
Common ideas tend to be extending public transportation through the area. At the workshops, a lot of people said that the prison site should be a high-density, mixed-use area.
Other ideas? A university campus, research center, moving the zoo, a paragliding area, recruiting more tech companies, and putting in more nature trails. But the decision is not up to Envision Utah. They're just the consulting firm chosen by the Point of the Mountain Commission to do the research and figure out the logistics.
This is a collaborative process amongst cities, counties, state government, legislative branch, executive branch. It's everybody truly coming together like we do really well in Utah and saying, this is a unique piece of property in a unique area. We really do want to plan it, and we're doing it.
Mayor Walker is on the commission and says as far as plans go, it's a blank slate. The state owns the over 700 acres where the prison currently sits, but other landowners own over 20,000 acres of undeveloped land around it. The goal of the commission, come up with a way to use the prison land to catalyze the growth of the entire area.
I think our future is very bright. If we do this right, it will be the economic engine for the next 100 years.
Starting next month, Envision Utah will compile public input and come up with a few different options that will go through another round of public comment. By this time next year, a definitive plan will likely be in place.
This area is an opportunity that Utah has that most states would kill for. I mean, that to have this available land in the middle of a dynamic growing region is an unusual thing, and it could become something special.
Envision Utah is still taking public comment. We'll connect you to their website from ours, fox13now.com. Reporting in Draper, Aubrey McKay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today is the 58th anniversary of the 1959 Tibetan uprising against the Chinese occupation. The Chinese quickly beat back the uprising, and since then, over 1 million Tibetans have died because of the Chinese occupation. The Tibetan community in Utah is small, with about 300 members. But every March 10th, they take to the streets and raise their voices.
Tibetans inside Tibet today continue to live in total repression. There's no freedom whatsoever. And so we are here today just to raise awareness about what's happening inside Tibet and just to let the world know of the real situation.
Organizers of today's rally call on their fellow Utahns to put pressure on the U.S. government and on China to open up Tibet and let the Dalai Lama return.
It's a robotics competition bringing teens to Utah from all over the western United States. What they've learned through the process, coming up.
Even with the cloud cover out there today, temperatures still near 60 degrees here in Salt Lake with the winds out of the northwest at 10 miles per hour. You can see the clouds, a few showers moving in tonight, clearing off to the west. We'll talk more about what's behind all this coming up.
And later in sports, RSL will be taking their scarves and mittens with them to Chicago, a preview of their game at the Fire. But it was nice back home for the Utes as they struck up spring football. Here from the mastermind behind Utah's new up-tempo offense. Back in a bit.
This is Fox 13 News.
The Festival of Purim is this weekend, but children at Salt Lake's Jewish Community Center celebrated it today. Preschoolers and kindergartners staged a costume parade. It featured popular costumes of superheroes and princesses. In days past, children dressed up as Haman, who plotted to kill the Jews in ancient Persia. His defeat is the basis of the holiday.
I think this gives everybody an opportunity to celebrate. I think that's what the JCC does, is everybody gets to be part of the action, and that's what we want.
Today also kicked off the JCC's annual fundraiser. Shalom on the Range will be on March the 30th, but those who won't be able to attend bid on some silent auction items today.
The stars of Disney on Ice World of Enchantment want every child to enjoy the show, even those who don't see well or at all. Students of Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind got a special blind touch tour today at Vivint Smart Home Arena. The children got to feel the ice, touch the costumes, explore the props and sets, and get inside Mickey's Roadster.
They just get so excited and they smile so big and they're so happy, and it puts a smile on our faces, and it's just so rewarding in that way.
There's a performance tonight and multiple shows tomorrow and Sunday.
It's quickly becoming a competition to rival high school sporting events.
Teams from 48 schools gathered at the Maverick Center today to pit robot against robot in a challenge of skill, speed, brute force, and brains.
Fox 13's Max Roth joins us in studio at The Look. Max.
Yeah, Hope and Bob, thanks. You know, the University of Utah College of Engineering organizes this regional competition. The winners get to qualify for a national championship, and just like other sports, the students take it very seriously while having a great time.
Just missing the hopper of the RV.
There are crowds, competition, and a lot of tension.
45-85, 35-98. Oh! Crashes to the field.
The teams are brainiacs with every bit the drive of an elite athlete.
Official scores to follow.
They spend months designing, building, programming, even raising the money. Ashley Howell goes to Hillcrest High School in Midvale.
It's stressful, but it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot.
At its most basic level, you could say it's about robots.
Avery Shumway goes to West High in Salt Lake City.
I think this competition is using robots as a means of getting people together in a different way than they might otherwise get together and work together.
The competition comes from all over the West.
I love it.
Erica and Ella are from Boise.
I love it because it's just so everybody's so excited to show each other what they can do and how they can do it.
And Chris Clare coaches a team from Colorado.
Each year, little kids learn different stuff, and maybe a kid who's good at programming one year decides he wants to do build, and you see this incredible growth, and everything they're doing is so not appropriate for high school. These kids are doing college level stuff as freshmen in high school.
32-30 continues.
There are teams from Canada and even a team from Navajo Mountain High in San Juan County. As you watch, you see teams borrowing parts, asking advice. There's a profound ethic they've given a goofy name, coopertition.
We compete with each other, but we do it in a very friendly way and a helpful way, because you don't want to compete against the other team when they're at their worst. Like if the robot breaks, we don't want to compete against them then. We want to compete against them when they're at their best.
So this competition was started by the famous inventor Dean Kamen. They organize Lego robotics leagues for younger students as well. And this year nationally, the program is offering $50 million in scholarships to participants. Live in studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coopertition.
That was really cool.
Isn't that neat? Yeah. And what a great spirit, too. We don't want to compete against teams when they're not at their best.
That was way cooler than the robot competitions we had in the 80s, because it was breakdancing. That was the only robot.
Well, I thought it was the one with the spinning saw blades that cut everything.
Well, I think they do that now.
Do they?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There you go.
I did disco, you did breakdancing.
Yeah. Bob did what, like swing?
Ballroom dance.
Did they allow dancing?
No, we did swing. We did swing dancing back in the day.
He did the Charleston.
I was trying to think of an older.
I am not a flapper.
All right, we have the clouds have pushed into northern Utah. Well, actually, throughout the state today. They're a little bit thicker in northern Utah, and the further north you are in the state, they're even thicker. And there are some showers that are pushing through extreme northern Utah at this time as well. It was expected, just a weak, cold front that's pushing through, and so it's kicked off the clouds for many of us. You see on the Intermountain Cam right now, just cloudy skies over the Salt Lake Valley. And there's a look at this boundary that's pushing through northern Utah currently. Now, the main jet stream is still in a ridge position, and it's still to our north. We have the clearing off to the west. These clouds here are going to ride over that ridge. It's just this boundary that's moving through, and that's why we're seeing the cloud cover across the state today. So, again, a few showers have pushed into extreme northern Utah, mainly the higher elevations near Logan. Not expecting a lot of precipitation out of this, but those showers will continue in the evening hours. Temperatures right now mid and upper 50s along the Wasatch Front. Same story on the Wasatch back. As we look around eastern Utah, we're near 60 in Vernal, low 60s in Price. We're 70 in Milford, low 70s in Page, and mid 70s in St. George, as we have the mild temperatures across the entire viewing area. Even Grand Junction there at mid 60s, and all in the 50s in Elko, Ely, and Wendover. All right, tonight we'll look for partly cloudy skies to mostly cloudy. And temperatures fairly close to where we've been the last couple evenings. We've been in the right around 40 degrees for an overnight low. So we'll be there again, likely a couple degrees cooler than we've been recently, or at least the last two evenings. Mid-30s in Ogden, 33 in Logan, 29 in Park City, 35 in Price, 47 in St. George, and low 40s in Moab. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy across the state. Tomorrow, the clouds will be on the decrease during the day. So what it looks like is moving to sunny conditions in the south, moving to partly cloudy to mostly clear in the north, but we will have the clouds, especially during the morning hours. It's decreasing through the day. 60 for a high in Salt Lake and Provo. 63 in Delta, 66 in Milford, 78 degrees in St. George. A lot of 70s here in the extreme southern part of the state with that sunshine. Stays sunny through the weekend into early next week. Temperatures in the low 80s. And, by midweek, we start to see some increasing clouds. But right now, it doesn't look like any kind of major change to the weather pattern in southern or northern Utah. So for northern Utah, mostly sunny tomorrow, partly cloudy on Sunday, low 60s, mid 60s, low 70s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. By Thursday, could see some showers rolling in, but definitely some increasing clouds at the end of the week.
I think I'm going to take a nap in between shows.
Yeah?
Just to catch up that hour.
Just to
get ahead. So
Just curl up here on the desk.
Wouldn't you have to actually nap for 2 hours then? Because
oh, yeah.
you usually have your hour nap.
That's a good point. Good point.
What am I, 80? Thanks, Brett. For nothing.
RSL won't be sunbathing for tomorrow afternoon's game in Chicago. It's not expected to crack 30 degrees in the Windy City as Real Salt Lake makes their road debut. After a scoreless shutout last week, they're looking to find the net for the first time against the Fire.
Goals change games, and you know, we're looking to change the game in Chicago. Obviously, they're going to be coming out extremely aggressive, but a goal can change that.
It's just a matter of that first goal going in, you know, maybe early in the game to give yourself more confidence. The longer it drags on, the more mentally tougher it gets.
RSL should be light on defense with Justin Glad, Chris Schuler, and Aaron Mond all nursing injuries. Joao Plata is questionable with a hip contusion. Utah spring football began yesterday and will culminate with the red-white game on April 15th. Every year changes and tweaks are made, but that could magnify this year with a new offensive coordinator in place. Troy Taylor ran a prolific offensive attack at Eastern Washington and is now in Salt Lake to duplicate that at the FBS level. Both of Utah's top two quarterbacks from a year ago return, including starter Troy Williams, who is now a senior. And then there's the sophomore Tyler Huntley. And expect the Alabama transfer Cooper Bateman, who is originally from Utah, to fight for time as well. Taylor says either drop back or dual threat quarterbacks can thrive under his system.
I haven't seen these guys throw in person. This was the first time I've ever seen them throw in person, so I was anxious to see kind of how they would respond. And, you know, I think the tempo is probably faster than what they're used to, so we got some tired guys, but, you know, the other side's going to be tired as well. And as you get fatigued, you know, your execution level will decrease a little bit, but we'll get in better shape and we'll execute better each day.
You know, Troy has an exceptional track record with throwing the football, and you know, combine that with the way we've run the football here in the past, it should be a pretty good combination.
Weber State and Southern Utah went head-to-head late last night at the Big Sky Tourney, and this was a game in the second half. Will Joyce teardrops inside the 11-seed SUU, only down a point. That would all change at about the 10-minute mark. Weber pulling away Ryan Richardson, then Jarek Harding hangs home a bucket. The Wildcats won by 20 and will face Eastern Washington in the semis tonight at 9. And the UVU women needing a couple more upsets in Vegas to score a surprise NC2A tourney bid. Tough shot on the dribble by the former North San Pete star Taylor Gordon. The Wolverines up 1 with 92 seconds left. The Redhawks answer to go back up 1. The putback by Wilma Alfungo. Utah Valley, though, with the last shot for the win. With the 3 by Mariah Seals draws air, 61-60. The final. The UVU men go tonight as well. 7.
Lots and lots and lots of basketball this
time.
month. Yep.
March Madness next week.
All right. Morgan, thanks so much.
We'll be right back.
The likelihood of us ever getting snow again this winter?
Oh, it's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
in the valley.
No doubt about it.
In the valley.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
We'll see you at 9.